Sergio Tavares. I'm an independent Portuguese reporter who was arrested and interrogated by the Brazilian Federal Police at Guarulhos Airport in Sao Paulo on February 25, 2024, when I was covering a demonstration for freedom on Avenida Paulista. My crime? I never knew. I was never told. They simply took me for several hours.
I told you. I don't have nothing to say.
But why on earth should Brazil's judiciary be interested in my opinion on these matters? And there I was, alone, just arrived in a Latin American country, and wondering, in disbelief, not knowing what was going to happen to me, where they were going to take me. The fulfillment of that promise. On that day, I decided to travel the world to give a voice to all those who were being oppressed by dictatorship and the judiciary, and to denounce all attacks on the freedoms and rights of those people who were shedding tears with me there. And one name was repeatedly mentioned by everyone as the person most responsible for the judicial dictatorship currently in place in Brazil, Alexandre de Moraes. To join the Brazilian National Council. With his popularity growing and privileged contacts in politics, Moraes opened his law firm in 2010, through which he defended cases involving politicians and public officials. At the same time, he took on the role of Secretary of Public Security for São Paulo, again invited by the current Vice President of the Lula administration, Geraldo Alckmin, a position he held until 2016. Alexandre de Moraes literally owes his political career to Alckmin and Lula, who, incidentally, are the main opponents of Jair Bolsonaro. However, this theory was denied by Teori's son, who insists that his father was murdered. In this way, Moraes would end up taking the place of the possibly murdered Savasky, at a time when there were allegations that he had good relations with the PCC due to services provided by his law firm. In addition to his links to the PCC, Moraes' impartiality in judging cases related to Operation Lava Jato was questioned, given that he had been part of the government alongside several of those involved.
Ao Dr. Alexandre Moraes, se ele de fato acha que possui a isenção necessária para ser revisor da Lava Jato, tenho sido ministro desse governo, ministro da Justiça, 5 colegas seus como ministro do Ministério estão sendo investigados, o senhor se acha isento?
Moraes, formerly a lawyer for those convicted in Operation Lava Jato, thus became a Supreme Court justice, and even the judge responsible for that case. It came as no Supreme Court with an absolutely absurd justification.
Lula nunca foi inocentado de nenhuma das acusações, nenhuma sequer das que ele foi condenado. Nenhuma. Parte delas foi anulada pelo quê? Porque 5 anos depois, 14 recursos, mais ou menos na mesma direção depois, o Supremo entende que a vara de Curitiba não era a vara correta. Anula porque não era o juiz natural e manda começar tudo de novo na vara do Distrito Federal. Quando vai começar tudo de novo na vara do Distrito Federal, o Lula inteira 74 anos, 75 anos, e aí atinge a prescrição.
In addition to releasing Lula from prison, Moraes is now leading an atrocious and relentless persecution of Lula's great adversary, Jair Bolsonaro, and his allies, which led the former president to file a request for the impeachment of Alexandre de Moraes in the federal Senate in 2021.
Provar, na véspera o Barroso foi lá no campo mais uma vez, ele disse, fui chamado, porque ele falou, apoio, tá? E convenceu eles a trocar todos os deputados, o primeiro deputado que tocou de derrubar a PEC da Beatriz, né?
After going to the Chamber of Deputies to pressure parliamentarians, Luis Barroso went even further. He met privately with several party leaders before the vote on this PEC to convince them not to approve this amendment, which would bring transparency to the electoral process.
A votação na comissão um dia, na véspera ele juntou todos os presidentes de partidos e líderes de partidos e tudo para trocar os deputados que iam votar por outro.
The TSE president's actions led to a barrage of criticism, with accusations that he was directly interfering in the Senate vote. Barroso was also accused of threatening several parliamentarians who had cases pending in the STF, saying that if they did not vote against the printed vote PEC, they would suffer reprisals. This is because the TSE ministers, as they are also ministers of the Federal Supreme Court, they have the power to judge the cases of parliamentarians who voted in favor of the PEC. The accumulation of powers by the STF and the TSE allows them to influence Congress to such an extent that the judiciary gains legislative power.
Quando a Corte Constitucional, além de administrador de serviço eleitoral, é também julgadora daqueles que compõem o Congresso, ela toma para si um poder absoluto, porque ela tem atribuições executivas, poder executivo, ela tem a atribuição judicial, de julgar, e ela acaba legislando na medida em que toma para si a eficácia da norma.
Since Moraes joined the STF in 2017,
Nós não vivemos um ambiente democrático, não como nós mesmos estávamos acostumados até 2018, 2019. De lá para cá, muita coisa mudou sem o acompanhamento da lei, porque o Estado democrático de direito foi abandonado por releituras da Constituição, por releituras de interpretação da lei. E isso ofende a inteligência dos brasileiros. Nós sabemos o que é.
Agora o Bolsonaro aqui, ó. Então, fazendo isso, o Lula para nós não é para nós. Porque o Lula é ladrão, cara. Mas você vai defender, se o Lula ganhar, ele vai dar bastante do filho dele agora. Vai. O Lula ganhar, vai passar mais um cara aí, normal por aquilo.
despite these audio recordings being true, Alexandre de Moraes ruled that the press would be prohibited from reporting, posting, or publishing news about Marcola's support for Lula. But Marcola and Esdras knew what they were talking about, as their organization lives in full complicity with the Supreme Court judges. With the support of US aid, these were First Draft, founded by British journalist Claire Wardle, IFES, run by Latin American Maximo Zaldivar, and Open Society, founded by George Soros. All these organizations worked to get Lula elected and topple Jair Bolsonaro and his allies. This was the largest and most organized media cartel ever known, created in the pre-election period of 2022 to directly or indirectly unite with the purpose of setting the agenda and dominating the discourse, producing narratives and silencing dissent, all to manipulate public opinion and achieve a favorable outcome in the 2022 election. Must remain in power for Lula.
Por que Angela Merkel pode ficar 16 anos no poder e Daniel Ortega não? Por que o Felipe González daqui pode ficar 14 anos no poder? Qual é a lógica?
Sí, pero Angela Merkel ha gobernado 16 años, Felipe González 13 en España y no metía a ninguno de los dos a sus opositores en la cárcel.
Reports or posts about Lula's friendship with Maduro were also ordered to be removed by the TSE. Ironically, shortly after Lula's election, Maduro, the bloodthirsty dictator who also rigged his elections in Venezuela, was welcomed in Brazil with honors as a head of state. The same censorship occurred on all topics that were negative for Lula, such as corruption, the PCC, or dictators from the São Paulo Forum. In the 2022 elections, there were more than 60 court orders preventing these issues from being discussed in the press or on social media. The same happened, for example, with publications about Satanists declaring their express support for Lula.
Nós nos unimos esse tempo todo. Os terreiros de Quimbanda, os terreiros de Axé, nós das Irmandades Luciferianas do país, os segmentos satanistas, os satanistas ateístas, os satanistas gnósticos, os luciferianos ateístas, os luciferianos gnósticos, os espiritualistas, enfim, nós nos unimos esse tempo todo. E vocês, bolsonaristas, vocês vão enfiar os dois dedinhos que vocês fazem para digitar o 22, vocês vão enfiar os dois do 22 no cu de uma vez.
And consist, which the Supreme Court made a point of clearing her of. One by one, the PT criminals were not only acquitted, but many were placed in prominent positions in Lula's government, which only came to power with the help of the Supreme Court. Regulating social media will give the judiciary even more power to censor, persecute, and castrate the freedom of expression of those who fight against the regime. In July 2025, Brazil finally made social media censorship official, and the announcement was met with great satisfaction and even tears of joy among Supreme Court justices.
E muito me honra, Sr. Presidente, poder fazer a leitura desta tese. E digo, Sr. Presidente, que muito me honra fazer parte dessa tese.
Rising and another falling.
Tudo isso aponta um comportamento errático Mas é importante entender que esse comportamento errático não é prova de fraude. Não há e não haverá jamais prova de fraude. Porque quando se fala em fraude, está se falando do crime que é modificar o registro da vontade do cidadão. Para que se diga que a vontade do cidadão foi adulterada, é preciso ter o paradigma que é a vontade do cidadão, porque não há uma existência concreta do voto, que é o paradigma. Então é impossível dizer que aquilo que você tem é a adulteração de algo que você não tem acesso.
Other statistically improbable anomalies occurred, with more than 140 polling stations giving 100% of the votes to Lula, and not a single vote to Bolsonaro, which several electoral experts say is manifestly very unlikely to happen. A herd effect. The police would have to be complacent and only act at the end, when the plan had already been carried out in order to proceed with mass arrests. Finally, it would be necessary to erase all evidence, such as removing images from inside the buildings and creating a reverse narrative, that the protesters wanted to carry out a coup and were terrorists. The militant press would be fundamental to this mission of creating a coup narrativum, even though it was a Sunday, with no weapons, no tanks, and no government officials from the sovereign bodies present inside the buildings of the three branches of government. With thousands of peaceful people marching to the Senate building, including entire families, children, and the elderly. The mission included two types of infiltrators, those in dark clothing with their faces covered who were already inside the buildings vandalizing, and those in yellow shirts who were in the middle of the crowd encouraging people to advance into the buildings. Then the mission included getting rid of the infiltrators in dark clothes and with their faces covered, who had entered before the protesters, leaving through the back of the buildings. At the same time, the authorities began to attack the protesters with tear gas and arrest people who had been encouraged to enter the buildings. Many ended up doing so, but only to escape the tear gas grenades that were being thrown at them, many of which broke the facades of the Congress building. With the infiltrators far away after hundreds of arrests, dozens of buses arrived to take away not only the protesters who were at the demonstration near the public buildings, but also hundreds who were in the camps set up in front of them, even though they had not even been at the protest that day. To confide to them, saying they would take them back home. However, instead, they took them to a giant pavilion, claiming it was only for a few hours. Along the way, these buses drove around the city of Brasilia, as if those people were trophies being paraded through the capital, humiliated, frightened, and treated like cattle. There, more than 1,400 people were illegally detained for several days, in inhumane conditions, without hygiene or adequate food. Entire families, children, elderly people, and animals were crammed together, as if they were in a concentration camp. They ended up being indicted by the federal police for crimes of slander, defamation, threats, and bodily injury, based on confidential images that were not made available to the public or to the accused. They were forced to apologize in public to avoid being arrested. Moraes' former direct advisor, Eduardo Taliaferro, was forced to flee Brazil and confessed in a telephone call that he had kept enough material to incriminate his former boss for numerous crimes and illegalities. Giant screens in Times Square. I traveled to the United States to learn more about this initiative.
Por conta de tudo que ele tem feito, né? A forma ditadora que ele tem agido com bons cidadãos no Brasil. O mínimo que eu pude fazer é expor e mostrar para o mundo, né? Não somente para o brasileiro, mas para o mundo inteiro, quem é o verdadeiro ditador do Brasil, Alexandre de Moraes.
The resistance of the Brazilian people grows stronger and stronger, and on August 3rd, 2025, millions took to the streets of Brazil not only to demand freedom, but also to celebrate the first international sanctions against Moraes, which came from the United States and punished Moraes under the Magnitsky Act. This law allows the U.S. to punish foreigners accused of corruption or serious human rights violations. It is a law that goes beyond borders and serves as a global warning against abuses of power. Moraes thus joined the list of criminals to whom this law has been applied. targets of the Magnitsky Law, as well as their family members. Even Garner, the tamed Attorney General of the Republic, is already on the waiting list to be punished. In addition to individual sanctions against Moraes, Lula, and the rest of the gang, the Brazilian people have seen the United States impose 50% tariffs on Brazilian products as a way of putting pressure on the Brazilian authorities for their criminal actions. Donald Trump is definitely committed to helping restore democracy in Brazil and preventing the injustice of Jair Bolsonaro's imprisonment. Alexandre de Moraes, meanwhile, is getting nervous, losing allies, and no longer hiding his discomfort in his speech and Fate would have it that the last take of this documentary was recorded in India, in an idyllic setting, in front of one of the wonders of the world, the Taj Mahal Palace.